Hello and welcome to Bella's Fashionistas Home Edition. I am your host, Fleriser Bello. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful afternoon. We hope that you and your loved ones are well and staying safe. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube accounts at Bellas Fashionistas, and also our media partner, Bronxnet TV. On today's Bella's FireSide chat conversation, we welcome the Chief Diversity Officer at the Office of New York City Comptroller, Scott Stringer, who will provide information on the resources available to small businesses and minority and woman-owned businesses affected by COVID. Please join me in welcoming a dear friend, El Latina Dominicana, Wendy Garcia. Wendy, thank you so much for joining us today. It is a pleasure to have you back.
Hi, Fleriser. It is my pleasure to be back, social distancing from my home. And on behalf of the New York City Comptroller, thank you so much for inviting our office to talk to MWBs who have been facing a tremendous impact. But we're very happy to be here and be of service.
Tell us about your role. I know we've known each other for quite some time. And tell us about the role, your role in the city Comptroller's office.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am, for the listeners, I'm the Chief Diversity Officer over in the New York City Comptroller's office. And my role is to look at contracts all the way from investments to the cupcake stand, as we like to say, and ask one hard question: is how is the city doing with women and minority-owned businesses? Are we giving them access to their needs? Are we providing regulations that allow them to really flourish and build wealth? And ask the hard questions of not just our office, but the city of New York.
Fantastic. Can you talk to us about the business-related actions the Comptroller has advocated for?
Yeah, recently the Comptroller, I'm sure most of you have seen him, whether it's on TV or heard him through podcasts, and he's been making sure to get the word out. But we know that business owners have been impacted greatly by the shutdown. And we have been pushing for the federal government to really take a step up and call on more grants for business owners. We know that there are federal loans available, but we want to see more opportunities. We want to see less interest rates that are available for small business owners. And we want to make sure that we immediately are capping on the delivery to perform services, which a lot of those things have happened. The Comptroller has called on many of the items that have come out in the last few days, because of course this has been rolling effect. But what we're really, what our offices focus on and pushing for is making sure that businesses that have been impacted by COVID have high priority, not just through funding and grants, but also through their everyday operations. Most recently, we sent a letter, an investor statement with over 100 institutional investors to provide, and their corporate executive teams, calling on them to provide paid leave, which we know is extremely important for the everyday, right, of workers. We're asking them to prioritize health and safety. And this is, as investors, we are making sure that they're maintaining employment, because people need jobs. And we know people need jobs, especially now more than ever, to maintain supplier and customer relations. We know that big corporations do businesses with others, and the way to keep this part of the economy going is to continue those relationships as corporate companies. And also to exercise, as many of you know, financial prudence in expecting that the highest level of ethical and financial management is existing today. We have called on a forecasting of a $4.8 billion dollar review. We're forecasting a loss of anywhere between 4.8 billion and $6.0 billion in tax revenue. Of course, these projections are ever changing. We've called on the federal government for direct cash assistance, forgivable loans, unemployment insurance, which of course already came down. The Comptroller has pushed for paid sick leave and student debt relief, which I believe today there was a big announcement on that. So a lot of the items we were pushing for the last 2 weeks, the Comptroller has been very prudent in making sure that that small business owners, that women and minorities have been the center of this dialogue.
Now, we all know that the market obviously is not doing well, which you have already mentioned. And are there any potential business opportunities small businesses should know about?
Absolutely. Look, we know that Wall Street is not doing well. It's in the news every day. But there are still opportunities for businesses, whether it's collaborating together or looking at other potential spaces that are doing well. And with COVID, there are also new emergency items that the city has to constantly buy that if businesses tap into those sources, it is a place where your business can be sustainable. So, for example, New York State has a website that you can check out, and it's if you go to the Empire State Development website, where they're looking for products such as medical supplies and personal protective equipment. I'm sure you've heard the governor's office talk a lot about the need for ventilators and medical equipment, and it's normally a topic in the press conferences every day. But there's a way to tap into that. If you go into Empire State Development's website, you can find that they'll ask you 3 potential questions. Are you ready to supply? Are you ready to repurpose for production, or do you want to volunteer and donate your time and space? If you're interested in learning how to be a supplier for the state, the number is 646-522-8477. And you can also call Empire State Development, and that's at 212-803-3100. And then you can also email COVID-19 supplies at esd.ny.gov. I'm going to repeat that again, COVID-19 supplies at esd.ny.gov. But you definitely want to make sure that you tap in to those opportunities. New York City is in the same realm. You have heard the mayor talk a lot about the need for sourcing and manufacturing. And the New York City Economic Development Corporation is now seeking businesses with the ability to source out and or make medical equipment, food-related items. People have to eat. Workforce, technology. As you know, we are in social distancing right now, and technology is a high need. And in order for us to continue to operationalize, space is a big concern for the city. Providing space, businesses who can do that can tap into these sources. Transportation, manufacturing, and of course donation and funding, which are all part of the gamut. The Economic Development Corporation also has a website that you can fill out your form, submit what products you have to offer, and that's edc.nyc/COVID-19-emergency supply sourcing. And then, of course, there's always Google. You can Google it, and it'll come right up. We're also offering navigations in our office for women and minority-owned businesses that are interested in understanding the new realm and the new landscape of the city post-COVID. So they can feel free to reach out to my office as well at diversity@comptroller.nyc.gov.
Could you give us some example of those that you have mentioned, that where you walk these minority-owned businesses to those that are non-essential type of services?
Yeah,
Please.
of course. I think if you look at the top needs now operationally, hospitals around the city are looking for N95 masks. You're hearing a lot of needs for surgical masks, surgical gowns, coveralls, gloves, face shields, and the number one need to keep people alive now is ventilators. Um, and for patient range, full scale with critical care and for ICU use. Unfortunately, we're living in a time where we have to build capacity, not just for hospitals, but also across other spaces. So the city of New York has a registration that you can fill out. It's called supply registration, and that is on nyc.gov. And you can pull that right up, fill your information in, and be a supplier, and fill in your supplier registration form.
Now, are there any non-essential opportunities out there for small businesses and
Yes, always. I mean, there are, meaning non-emergency items. I think non-COVID items. If you think about, and I'll just give you a brief example. We are working from home. I'm working from home, and that means that agencies across the city who are facing something very similar to what everyone else is facing need to supply laptops, wireless cords. They need to supply headphones and items that we've taken for granted that are so staple in the workplace, have not been portable. And so while they're not COVID related items directly, they are a result of the stay at home order. And many agencies are making sure that they can continue to move operations. But for that, you need to buy items, right? And you need to buy software that helps with that. You need to expand how technology is moving inside of the office and all those things. If you're an IT consultant, or you understand Zoom well and you're a small business owner, or you are a distributor with Microsoft or HP and you sell laptops, these are the times where the city is buying these services.
That is fantastic. And thank you so much for being able to provide that. Now, I understand that the city and that the government in general, when you do business with the government, you have to be certified. Now, can small businesses that are not certified be able to also provide their services at this point?
Yes, absolutely. That has always been the case, whether you're a minority-owned business owner or you're a not minority-owned business owner, certified or not certified. Registering to do business with the city is the same for everyone. I'm going through the city's passport system. I'm registering for what we call PIP, and ensuring that your business is a true business. What the certification does as a woman and minority-owned business is that the Department of Small Service allows you to certify with them. They have had an impressive turnaround time given all the emergency items that have come up with MWBEs. And I think what we're finding is on those contracts that have MWB goals, on the contracts that have clauses that say X percent, 20%, 30%, 40% have to go to women and minority-owned business. It gives you the ability to compete at a step up on those contracts. The landscape pre-COVID was that 30% of all contracts, that the city announced a 30% goal in terms of agencies across New York, with the understanding that the state as well had a goal percentage. So government as a whole, New York City, New York State, just so you can see all the bigger picture. When you certify, it allows you to compete on those contracts.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for clarifying that, because I know that there's non-certified businesses that would like to be able to participate in these opportunities, especially during COVID. We will take a quick break, and when we return, we will speak to Wendy Garcia, who would give us a breakdown of the different grants and fundings and loans that are being provided by the government. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, Wendy. I know that we heard a lot about the current stimulus package that's going around. Can you tell us about the loan programs and also how that can benefit business owners?
Yeah, absolutely. The stimulus package just passed, I believe, last week. So there are a lot of things that are in process and, of course, ever changing. As of a few weeks ago, SBA announced what's called the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, which provides working capital loans for up to $2 million for small businesses and nonprofits as well. In case you are a business owner and a nonprofit, it applies to both, and that cannot pay for operating expenses due to COVID. Eligible businesses include small business owners. If you're a sole proprietor, you are also eligible. If you are even an agricultural cooperative, you are also available. I mean, that's good for obviously Middle America, but even in upstate New York, you find a lot of businesses like that. And what the disaster loan can be used for is for fixed debts. Business owners can use it for payroll and for other bills that have been impacted because of COVID. Many people ask the big question, which is, what's the estimated time? Listen, we've heard in our office that this is taking forever. But the time that they have said when we've talked to the federal agencies is 45 days from submission. Encourage everybody to apply, of course, but we know that there are glitches. We've already heard from business owners who have been facing many challenges with this. So the biggest item on the federal loan is to understand that it does have interest rates. The interest rates for business owners is 3.75, and for nonprofits, if there are any nonprofits listening, it is 2.75%. There is a grant component to this that is in the disaster loan program, and when you apply for that, they will be looking at the grant opportunity. You will see eligibility requirements say things like that the grant will be made available 3 days after completing for the loan application, whether or not the loan is approved, and that it will not have to be repaid. However, there are caveats, lots and lots of caveats to this.
Sure. Now, can someone apply for the grant and a loan at the same time? Because I know that the loans have to be paid for, and obviously interest rates. Is there anything like, can you do one or the other, or can you do both, or is there any free money out there at the same token?
Yeah, the way the loan is set up, the way that the federal government has described it, is that when you apply for the loan, you will be considered for what's called the Paycheck Protection Program, which functions as a grant. And so it will be tied into that. We'll see how it works, right? I think we'll know that answer in a few months, or maybe in a week. We'll see when the dollars start coming in.
When do they have to be paid back?
That's a good question. I think it's been done on a case-by-case basis. what they're saying in general is that it's going to take almost a year. It all depends. If the loan turns into a grant, it could end up being forgivable. So I'll give you an example.
Nice.
Have to be paid back under the circumstances that you can keep employees on, meaning that you operationalize at the same level. The loan then becomes a grant, and then grants do not have to be paid back. However, if you can't keep employees on, different nuances. And so I think it's just important that people understand the small bits of bread in the pudding. As a loan program, it is fantastic that there's this opportunity. As an office, we believe that there needs to be more grants available, that they don't need to have interest rates. I just want to make sure the controller has been very clear about the need for loans that are at 0%, and the need for expanding that. But for now, that is what is available at the federal level.
Okay. Now, is there like a city level, federal level? Is there anything like that? Now, are banks coming in to jump in? Is there any corporation that are providing grants to small businesses or opportunities during these times?
Sure. Just to address the question, there's 3 questions in one. Let me talk a little bit about the Express Loan Pilot Program, and then we'll talk a little bit about that. The Express Bridge Loan Pilot Program allows for businesses with an existing relationship with a SBS Express lender to access up to $25,000. The terms of the loan can be used to bridge the gap while applying for the economic disaster loan. There is one caveat, just to answer the first question. Then there is the SBA debt relief for businesses and other existing loans, and that's to automatically pay principal interest. And then to automatically pay principal interest on new 7A, 504, and micro loans. In addition to that, the city of New York, which is just the second part of the question, has what's called the New York City Small Business Continuity Fund. That's a 0 interest loan. And it's up to $75K, and that's to help mitigate losses in revenue. The eligibility criteria there is that you have to be located in the 5 boroughs in the city of New York. You have to demonstrate that, of course, COVID has caused impact on your business because you've had a 25% decrease on your business revenue. And you have to employ 99 employees or less. And of course, you have to demonstrate ability to pay the loan back. So that goes to your last question. Do you have to pay it back? So the answer is eventually yes. And the last one, which is really critical because we get this question a lot from women and minority-owned businesses, is that you cannot have any outstanding tax and liens and legal judgments. So that is another criteria that is coming in.
Now, one of the questions that I also have for you, and thank you so much for breaking this down. This is very good information for everyone. I understand that there's different criteria, different type of loans. Is there anyone for like a small company, a minority-owned company that has from 1 to 5 or sole proprietor business owner, or does it?
Yeah, we have seen various groups put together opportunities who are private sector companies for small businesses in grant formats. So, for example, JP Morgan pledged $5 million to help Black, Hispanic, and Asian-owned businesses move past COVID. They included entrepreneurs and have started a fund that it's called the JP Morgan Chase Entrepreneurs of Color Fund. And that's happening in the Seattle area, and they are expanding that outside of Seattle for areas that are highly impacted. There are also other grants, and there are also other loans and grants available. The Hispanic Federation, if you live in Northern Manhattan, have your business in Northern Manhattan, and New York Presbyterian Hospital are offering $2 million in emergency assistance grants for small businesses and nonprofits as well. And they're focusing on a second round of $8 million in funding that will roll out for 2 years for long-term community sustainability. So you definitely want to check out the Hispanic Federation site if you are in the Northern Manhattan area, and the New York Presbyterian Hospital site for that information. I just so that it's just HispanicFederation.org/NOMA fund. That is where you can find it.
Is that if they cannot speak the language, or obviously the language is a barrier, I understand that. For those non-English speakers, how do they get access to this information? I know that your office does a great job with providing by ethnicity and these programs. How can they get more information about that?
Yeah, absolutely. There are, I want to be honest, there are some organizations that are providing language access for non-English speakers. But I want to be honest, lately, a lot, as you know, a lot of information has been mostly available in English, meaning the loan applications are mostly available in English. New York City has probably over 27 different communities that speak over 127 different languages, right? We have the most diverse city in the world, people that speak everything from Spanish to Bengali to Cantonese, and we have to make sure these things are available. And these are our women and minority-owned businesses. So I would recommend that you take a look at the federal partners like Acción East. They're filling out loans. International Holdings Corporation, they're also filling out information for loans. Renaissance Economic Development Corporation, the Business Center for New York Americans, they all are doing loan filing information for folks. And some, not all, have language access, so folks would have to call. In addition to that, our office will be spreading information shortly about how to learn more about these opportunities in various languages. So we're working on that now, and we will be hopefully announcing very soon our lineup.
Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and also on our YouTube channel and our websites at Bella Fashionistas and at Bronxnet TV. And also do visit www.bellafashionistas.com and also www.forameterpartner Bronxnet.org. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.